almost don't want to smile. And I just woke up not too long ago. I had one of the most terrifying dreams of my lifetime. And I've had some very tough dreams. The most terrifying dream I can remember, I still got chills, was a dream that I had as a child. And I was hiding in a sewer system and I saw foreign soldiers marching. And there was a creepy song. It was a good song, but it was scary and creepy to me. And I saw robots skating, and a song was playing. Ain't nobody makes me happy. She's bad. I don't remember who sang the song. But I think she sings "Sweet Thing" as well, and her name is on the tip of my tongue, but I can't say her name right now. But that dream frightened me. I had dreams in my past about clowns and monsters and all kinds of things. And as a kid and as a young person, those things don't really bother you. You figure, you watched a few scary movies or two, and coming up in the '80s, we have watched scary movies. So those dreams really did not bother me as much, except for the one that I had when I was hiding and I saw the foreign soldiers. Um, and I'll get her name for you in a second. Who sung that song? 'Cause I feel like I need to tell you who sung that song. Um, and um, she's a beautiful sister who sung that song. By the way, her name is right there. I'm surprised I just don't say it. Um, Guys, I've had the most terrifying dream. Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan was singing, a song was playing in the background as I was a kid dreaming, and there was these foreign soldiers marching, and it scared the life out of me because I was a child and I couldn't understand what the hell was that song, those soldiers and everything. But last night I was scrolling on my phone, and before I went to bed, now all kinds of stuff was on, the usual stuff. And the last thing I saw was five Hebrew Israelites preaching to another black man in front of a store, telling them how they were the real Jews, their typical spill, and the white man and everything else like that. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, come on. Jesus Christ, I heard this before. So it's getting later and later. It's about 4 a.m. or something like that. Now, I get scared around that time because I've had visions around that time, especially when I was overseas. I saw many things in the sky around that time. So I'm like, usually I want to go to bed around this time. So I'm sitting there and I put my phone down and I drifted off in a sleep. And immediately I woke up in my grandmother's backyard. Now, before I tell you what is in this dream, I'm going to tell you the gist of this dream, and then I'll tell you um, what I saw. The gist of this dream, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Jewish people, I'm going to say that again. Jewish people, the people that they call Zionists. This dream frightened the life out of me. I've never been so scared in my life. Godly. I mean, I woke up and I cut all of the lights on and opened the windows. I don't know why I did that, but I was scared like you would not believe. Jewish people freed the slaves. Could you believe that? Now, I grew up and I listened to Farrakhan. I listened to different people, even Hebrew Israelites. And I always thought, watching in modern times too, when you hear certain things, you go, well, maybe they are kind of bad. Maybe when you see the killing and Gaza and things like that, you go, maybe they were bad. I have a new found respect for the Jewish people. My dream was so frightening. I promise you, like my hands, bro. I woke up, I was like, and I needed water. I got like I downed 2 bottles of water. I was shaking in my boots off of this dream. Yo, seriously, yo, like I was scared. Jewish people freed the slaves, black slaves. You're not gonna believe this. I could not believe it. I drifted off to sleep and I woke up, and in my grandmother's backyard there was a bell, a huge bell. And I walked outside, and I'm like, the dogs they're just like going in and out of the bell, the dogs. And I'm sitting there, and I said, okay. The first thing I said is I wanted to see if I could make cover the bell. I wanted to see if I can make a house, a kid's house or something out of the bell, like a hideout or whatever. And then I start doing that. The dogs are going in and out with me, inside the bell, and you can see the huge little thing. And I mean, this was a big ass bell, like a big bell, like a damn monster truck, but a big ass bell. And then something just dawned on me because I wanted to go in the house and make something to eat. In my dream, I go in the house, and my grandmother said, "You better not be out there messing with that bell." And I'm like, "No, no, 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 I'm not. No, no, no." She said, "You sure?" I said, "No, no, 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 no." So she goes where she's gonna go. I get my snacks. I go back inside the bell. This time, there's no dogs. I'm there by myself, and there's tunnels in the bell, dude. Right away, like I can feel, even though I can feel myself in a trance. I felt it, and I twitched, like I felt like I was falling. But every time I walked, oh my gosh, I felt like I was falling. And immediately, what I began to see in my dream was black people all over the Americas in different states. But I didn't know that they were different states. So I'm walking, and I can just see black people like getting water, like I don't know, folding clothes, picking cotton. Gosh, I'm scared as hell, bro. I just saw them like, fixing things and working in a house. Like you can tell what time you were in. There's make no mistake about this. You can tell what was going on. And I'm sitting there and I'm walking through this, and they're looking at me and they're not saying anything. And so I'm like, okay, I wonder if they can see me. So I'm walking, and you can see some of them, they had, I guess whips on them. Some of them were in church. Some of them were fixing cars. Some of them were playing music. Some of them were swimming. But it was in the time of slavery. And I'm sitting there, and again, I'm not liking this dream at all because my consciousness felt like I was in a levitated mode. It felt like I was in a awakened mode because I can hear vividly. Um, gosh, wow. Now, some of these black people, not all of them were slaves in my dream. Not all of them were slaves. Some of them were like in mountains. Some of them were dressed almost like if they were from Africa, but they were not. They were like, I don't know, like Indians or whatever, Native Americans. And that song again, oh gosh, that song that I heard of Shaka Khan started playing again. And I started to move quickly. And right away, I knew what happened. And I was hoping that I was not laying down in the wrong position because when I was young, sometime when I try to wake up and get, my body won't allow it. I can be up, I can hear, I just can't move. So right away, my body locked. I could not get up. I felt like I had a second to wake up out of the dream, and it would not allow me. And I stood there and I relaxed, and I was able to breathe. And thank God I relaxed because my face was not face down. That happens to me sometimes when I'm laying face down on my stomach, and it's the scariest thing ever because I could barely breathe. And I'm awake now, and I don't know when it's gonna wear off. So I'm laying there, and I can feel myself. Okay, I can breathe. I felt good. I'm like, okay, just relax. So I'm laying there. Wow, and that song is playing. And first thing I think of, what if somebody walks, or a demon or a monster, um, and do something to me? I want to wake up quickly so I can fight back. And I felt something tell me to just relax. This is what you wanted. Relax. So I relax, and the dream continues. So I'm traveling, and I'm still in this bell. I'm traveling in this bell, and I can see all of the things that black people were going through in slavery. Here's the thing, it wasn't as bad as I saw on television. They were singing, they were in church, some of them were in synagogues, some of them were practicing, like, I was in America. Some of them was practicing different faiths. Some of them were dancing like Native Americans. Some of them were roasting over the fire. And again, I'm a child walking through. I believe I was a child. I was because my grandmother was talking to me. And the funny thing is, I did not see my grandmother. She was talking to me, and I just did not see her. And it's crazy. So I'm walking through the different places in the bell. I don't understand how this works. And that's why I said, you know what, maybe I should think about it first before I say something. And I don't care how many views this one gets. I'm gonna actually let this one rock. Okay. Um, wow, my hands are trembling. So it was so real. I've never seen anything like this. They were not in slavery like there was people beating them like that and all this other kind of stuff. It was almost like an accepted slavery. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to say it this way. I can only say it the way I know it. And I don't know. I heard Kanye West say that before. I don't understand. Like, they did not look like they were in slavery, like how you picture it. Like, they're in shackles and all this kind of stuff. Now, there was some that I saw that was like in that condition, but the majority of them, it was like that was their job. That's what they were doing. They did. It's like they didn't even know that they were in slavery. And I mean, white folks, the ones that I saw, were just normally going about their day, normally doing this, normally doing that, um, hanging clothes. They were just regularly just doing stuff, going shopping, and they were cops and everything. Like, I could literally see America 300-400 years ago. It was so vivid. I could see the dirt, the gravel. I could smell the horses. They were eating fresh food. They had houses, and they were kind of like in their version of the ghetto, if you will, where you had the blacks that would gather, and in the morning, it just felt like this one. My dream went on for days, by the way. In the morning, everybody would get up, and they would go to whatever plantation or wherever that they were supposed to go, and they would show up on time. They would show up clean. They would show up happy. They would be singing songs. They would be, uh, you know, damn. The kids had a playing area, and they would do their work. They would do their work. They were more efficient than Mexican construction workers. I'm not kidding you. This is what I saw. Some of them were singing. Some of them were working in offices. They were creating things, instruments. I can see them. There was this one image that I remember. There was a white man, He was sitting almost like near a chalkboard or something. I don't know. And there were black people behind him, and they were making like guitars or banjos or whatever the case may be. And they kept handing him parts as if they were showing him how to put them in correctly. But he was up front and they were all in the back. And every time they would help him, he would smile and he would look back and I could see his face. And I kept moving back because I didn't want him to see me. And some of them were working on cars, and it's like every tool they had laid out neatly and organized, and they would fix the car quickly. Like they knew exactly, like it was almost like how you make a puzzle. They were easily put in the car. That they would get the light, put the light where it go. They would get the window. They would put it in a certain way. Then they would put the covering. Then they would put the wires. Then they would put the engine. I mean, they were just so goddamn efficient. I was like, wow. Some of them were singing. This makes me. I've never seen anything like this in my life. And they were actually in slavery. You can't believe everything you see on TV. This dream let me know that this is what slavery really was like. Okay. Now, one thing I did know, and there was a part in the dream that I got terrified. The sun was like an eclipse, and it was like if it was watching everything that was going on, and the moon would come closer to the sun, and it created an eye, a huge eye, and the black people would scatter immediately. You don't even know where they went. Every time it got close to dark, they would just scatter. And I would look up and I would see the eclipse. To me, that meant run. It was like the monsters was coming or the demons were coming when the sun and the moon got. I mean, it was frightening. Do you hear me? And every single night, this happened in my dream. I think about 8 times. I can almost 7 or 8 times I can count. And then once it went away, they would come back out and they would finish working, finish doing what they were doing, finish drawing water, making they were making clothes, they were making shoes. It was like they were the factory of the world. They were making everything that everybody was using. I'm serious. They were making watches. I can just see it vividly. And then that's when my dream changed. I could no longer go back where I was, where the black people were. It made me stay where the white people were in my dream. A lot of them were drinking in my dream. A lot of them were like arguing with one another. They were talking politics. They were talking war. They were talking, and I could hear everything, but I couldn't hear nothing. They were talking building things and senates and all kinds of stuff, just arguing with one another, and they seemed to have more beef with each other than they had with us. Many of them would basically come back and tell the black people, what should I do? Like, should I say this? Should I say that? How should I write it? Like, what should I tell them? It was the strangest thing I've ever seen. White people seemed like they were at war with each other, and the black people seemed like they were giving. It was a race to see who could go up top first, and each one of the white people would consult the black people. And how do I win? How do I fix this? How do I engineer this? How do I map this out? And then there was a group of people that I saw that were like dirty white people. And I'm so sorry. I gotta just tell it the way I saw it. They were dirty. Um, they were amongst the white people, and they were giving out. Even when they put on suits, they look so dirty. No offense, they look dirtier than the black folks. Black folks looked clean as hell. Okay, the women didn't have on makeup. I didn't see in my dream no wigs, no bonnets, none. Well, I saw a few bonnets, but they were so clean. You can tell they showered, they bathed. The beds were made. I'm telling you, I've never seen, dude, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. So when I got to the area where I couldn't see the black people anymore, I don't know why. I just could not go over there anymore. My mind, my body, and I wanted to go walk back over there because I wanted to look at things like what they were doing. Because like it almost like I almost learned how to build a car in my dream. I swear. They were so goddamn efficient. If you just stayed there and watch, you would see how easy it is. They were just like geniuses. They would make computers, like two or three of them, like within like an hour. That they were just so damn. They were just engineers. It's crazy. So I got to this part of my dream where the Jewish people were, and they were super dirty. I am so sorry to say this. I'm just being honest, and maybe I shouldn't tell this dream. I might get some strikes. They might take my channel. I don't know. I'm just gonna tell what I saw. And they kept like telling me to come over here. And like I'm looking at them like nobody else in my dream acknowledged me but these people. So I go over there and they're like, go and basically get this, go get that, go get this, go get that. And every time they tell me to go get something, it's in an area that I'm not supposed to be in. But for some reason, nobody said anything to me. Like I was dressed like the white people. I was just like, I can tell I had black skin too, but they never said anything to me. They would look at me and they would just keep talking and keep doing their own thing. And I would go in the desk and I would pull out the little uh whatever, the scroll, and I would go get it. I got a pencil. I went and I had like a hammer. I went and got like all of these different things, pipes, blankets. One even asked me to get some milk, and I just kept bringing it to them. And it just didn't dawn on me what I was doing. And it was like, no offense, have y'all ever seen the people under the stairs? How they looked? I'm so sorry if you're a Jewish person and you're taking this the wrong way, or if you're whatever and you're taking this the wrong way. I'm just telling you what my dream showed me. And I kept bringing it to them and I kept bringing it to them. And basically, they moved out the way the last time I brought something to them. And I don't know, it was like a rock. Um, on one side of the rock, it was white, and on the other side, it was like red or green or something. It was another color. I don't remember. So I bring it to them, and they're like, "Thank you," and they like push me out and close this door. On the door, there was a star. That's how I knew that they were Jewish. There was that star, and I'm thinking I need to go tell somebody that these people are about to do something really bad, and I helped them. So I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should not tell because what if I get in trouble? So I go back to this door, and this time it's open. So I walk in. They cleaned up. They're wearing these old ass clothes. They got beards damn near to the floor, and they're reading. It's like they needed those items I gave them to build like a machine or something. And they were like, when you came in this time, there was like fire hanging. Um, Strangely enough, there were tables, there were chairs. Everybody was talking, playing, and eating, and they was building a map of the entire United States of America, a sophisticated map. And in that map, there were like conduits that led to different places, and there was writings in their language on the wall. I had no idea what they meant. The thing about it is, this time it didn't feel like they would do anything to me. It felt like they were here to help. I don't know how I got that feeling, but you can tell they were not rich. They were not talking politics. They were not talking banking. They were not talking any of this stuff. They would like just building the only thing that comes to my mind, to be honest with you, is a spacecraft. I did not see a spacecraft, but they were building something that they needed all of those items for. And I gave it to them. And when I gave them the last item, I knew they didn't need me anymore. They pushed me away. When I came back, I saw what they did with those items. They had built damn near a synagogue, if you will, and they were empowered. They were not like frail anymore. They didn't look dingy and dirty. They didn't look like, like you couldn't do nothing to them now. It's like basically with Gandalf when you gave him back his staff. It was like I gave them what they needed to build what they needed. So I walk further and further. Now I'm still in the bell, by the way. I walk further and further. There's this one Jewish man, and I know he was Jewish because on his yarmulke or whatever it's called, this hat, you can see the star, and it's like it had water in it, and you can hear the water was running. So I get closer to him, and I'm looking down at what he is, and he's drawing people. Funny thing is, he's drawing them with a special pen that makes them real right then and there, and they're animated. So he's drawing all of these black people, and they're walking like on this escalator type of situation. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking, and then he's drawing the white people, and they're like on this ladder, climbing up, and like if they're going up a mountain or something like that. But it was a ladder, and all of the black people were just kind of walking straight, and they were just like headed towards a door. Um, and I didn't see the Jewish people, but he just kept writing, and every now and then he'd look up like this, and he keeps drawing. Now, again, you know how you draw a person, you got to put the outline, or you do the eyes at some point. Well, everything he would draw, he would make it already. It was an eye. Like he didn't have to draw an eye and then, style it. It was just like the pen could make whatever he wanted. It would make, and I gave this to them. It would make the fingers, it would make the stomach, it would make the eyes, it would make the voice. It was just like, and I kept staring at it. I've never seen nothing like that. The pencil made whatever he wanted. And I'm sitting there, and he kept drawing, and he kept looking up at me like this. You can see his beard and everything, and you can see the star. The star is like looking directly at me. And as I'm looking at the star, you can just see the water flowing through the hat. And it's almost like Merlin the magician. That's the type of look he had, but it wasn't a pointy hat. It was just a small little hat, and his face was indented. It was skinny, and he kept drawing, and he kept drawing, and I'm looking at it. He's doing the sun. He's making a moon, and as he's doing it, the moon is coming closer, like how I saw it earlier when the black people kept running, and he's drawing it, and you see the black people as they're walking this way, they go separate and they start to scatter. Scared the living hell out of me. So basically, what I was seeing in the beginning, he drew me as well, bringing the items. I'm gonna say that again. You probably can't even do that in your dream. He drew me, bringing them the items. And I'm sitting there looking. I just remembered I did that. And I looked up at him, and he looked up at me, and he put his head back down. And all the things that I saw when they were building the cars, he was drawing them building the car. He was drawing them running, hiding, as if he was controlling the sun and the moon. And he just kept looking up at me, and he kept etching things, birds, this and that. And then it was a part where he kept drawing the white people's attention up the ladder. Every time they would go up the ladder, they would go, I don't know where they would go, and then the next one would go, and then the next one would go, and then nobody came back in. They just kept leaving. And I'm sitting there watching this, And my spirit was so disturbed. I didn't know if he was telling me something. I didn't know if I was supposed to be watching that. And when it got close to the end of the drawing, he drew me laying down. In what I was wearing in the bed. He drew me going to sleep and then looked up at me. And then he drew me panicking, worrying. And I can see myself from an elevated, it was almost like I astral projected. I can see myself like this, trying to like hurry up and quickly get up so I don't fall into that frozen state. He's drawing me. And then he looks up at me again. And he's drawing me, dreaming. And when my grandmother was talking to me, he draws my grandmother this time perfectly. In her house, you can smell the food, everything that my grandmother's house was. Man, H-Dream scared the shit out of me, man. He drew everything. My grandmother said, "You better not go by that bell. Leave it alone." I said, "Yeah, Grandma, I'm not gonna go." No, 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 no. And he drew me, walking into the bell, and it kept repeating. And he kept stopping and looking up at me. And at the end of the dream, he drew the black people. Well, he drew me coming back into the bell, and the black people had changed. They were yelling at me, "What are you doing here? What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Why are you doing this? What are you doing here?" And you know where I was? I was in Virginia at a family reunion. Scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I got my plate of food, and they kept yelling at me, "What are you doing here? What are you doing there?" And I'm sitting there with my plate of food, and something told me, "Do not look up." I looked up one last time, and I saw him, and he just smiled at me. And I looked back down, and I looked up again, and it was all over. I've never seen, felt anything like that in my life. And again, I've said to myself, what the hell does that mean? On the last look, he gave me the look to say, this was what I was working on the whole time. And the same way they're judging you, you judged me. You didn't trust me. I was working on something for you the whole time. I was trying to free you. I was trying to help you, but there were other factions that you did not see that made you think that I was against you. So you kept yelling at me. You kept thinking that I was up to something evil. You kept thinking, but basically the circumstances you were in, Jewish people had to work nostalgically, quietly, because no offense, there was other Anglo-Saxons there. There were other British people who were in control of that day, of that situation, of that plantation. And the Jewish people could not just go, "Hey, I'm going to get you out of this situation." You can't. It don't work that way. And he made sure that I walked amongst the white people so I can see the different ones who had the power, who had the might. You can tell by their pens. Like as you go, as I walk back through the dream, and it's only been about a couple of hours. As I walk back through the dream, guys, I'm telling you, man, I don't dream anymore. I can't remember the last time I had a dream. And I looked that up. That's the first thing I looked up. Why don't I dream anymore? And what does it mean when you have a dream and you haven't dreamed in a while? And they said that it could be that it's a message or it's just you just dreaming. It just don't think too much of it. If I could, I would never have that dream again. As much as that dream means something, maybe later on I'll calm down. Guys, I'm telling you, I've never seen anything like that. And I'm a writer. I love movies. I love sci-fi. That was beyond sci-fi. And the man's eye, every time I looked at him, it was like I could see a fire, like a rage at what he was drawing, he was angry with. And every time he would bring the sun and the moon together, that was his way of saying, I'm going to bring you out of this at some point. And what made me really hurt is that, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I thought Jewish people, for the longest time, I've listened, no offense to Minister Farrakhan, and I'm not saying Farrakhan was whatever, I'm staying out of that. I've listened to Hebrew Israelites and the way they explain things, it does make it seem like, God, look, you looking at Gaza. But what I learned over time, and again, I could see that so all of what he was drawing to me, some of it is coming into focus as I think about it. And again, I would something like this, it will take me about 6 months to a year to be able to decipher what I saw. Just like when I was in the Middle East and I would see things in the sky, I didn't understand what the hell I was seeing. Are those shooting stars? What the hell are those? That's crazy. And it took me about 2 or 3 years to decipher what I was seeing in the sky. And what he was showing me was that many peoples, including Muslims, Ottomans, British, Anglo-Saxons, Persians, all were taking black people, enslaving them for their own purposes and sides. So the Muslims would take some of the Africans or some of the black people, enslave them. The British would take some and they scattered them. They took their lands. This is what he was showing me. Every time I look at him and I think back, it was like I can't explain it. Gosh, I can't explain it. I can't explain it. He showed me though how they were separated like that. How to some of the Spaniards, some of the Muslims, everybody who had something were taking black people and utilizing them for their purpose. And what he was showing me was the Jewish people was working a overall plan, an architecture, a map, a globe of how to go and gather these people and bring them back together. I mean, the craziest thing I've ever seen. And the guy was drawing the Jewish people and he kept them sort of concealed in caves and basically hungry and looking dirty, but they were working on how to architect and get these people away from the Ottomans, how to get them away from the British, how to get them away. And then what made me really hurt is because all of this time, and I grew up around Jewish people, I never could understand why they helped me. I swear to God. I swear. They got me out of Rikers Island. They got me out of Spofford. I told this story before, but now it's like I never knew why they did that to me. I never could realize why the Jewish people kept helping me. And when I heard Kanye West say the Jewish people helped him, and I seen Jay-Z in my mind around Jewish people, and I saw Kyrie Irving and other black people, how the Jewish people would help them get the record labels. They would help them get the music. They would help them. And some of them were not good and some not bad. They would help them get through college. They would help them. And I said, oh, shit. I misunderstood. I didn't get it at first. Now, if you think about it, they say Jewish people are in here. Jewish people in here. They got Jewish people here. Jewish people ain't the only one in there. They got all kind of people in there. They got Christians everywhere. They got Muslims everywhere. They got atheists everywhere. They got gay people everywhere. He was showing me, you think we're everywhere. We're only scattered like this so we can come and gather your ass. Like they were sent from the guy who was drawing to do these things. Like he was drawing them to build certain things and create certain things that would get you out of slavery. Remarkable. And now when I look at it, and I look at it, and I look at it, they are chosen people by God. Not that God made them better than you. Not that God made them more loving than you. He created and designed a special people in the Jewish people to take back a possession that was in captivity. I'm going to say that again. The Jewish people are a designed people, and that's what he was showing me the way he drew them. He drew them that way. Not that he favored them more than any other humans on the planet. Not that they were the first humans on the planet. It's that he specifically designed them like making ants that had a purpose and would continue to work. They wouldn't even know. And it reminded me of my teacher. She was a Jewish lady, and she would say, you can read, you can do this, you can do that. And I'm saying, I didn't know if she liked me or what. I think this Jewish lady, she's just so super nice to me. I called up my dad, I'm just telling the truth, not too long ago. And I said to him, hey, Pop, what's going on? And he said, I'm just trying to wait for my services so I can move to my new place. No offense. I can't lie. This man has been on public service his whole life, social services and things like that. And I don't want to hate on him. I don't want to say nothing bad about my dad, but I don't think he would ever be a conservative or Republican because my father believes in welfare, Section 8, and those type of things. And I feel so sad to say this. Man, this dream, I'm telling you, I never did. Man, this is the craziest. And why at this age, at 45, would I have a dream like that? It shocked the shit out of me. I don't think I'm going to get on social media for a while. Honestly, I think I'm going to just take me a guy. I feel like I need a damn sip of wine or 10 packs of cigarettes at this point. I am tripping over here. I called my dad and I said, hey, Pop, what's going on? He said, well, I'm waiting for this Jewish guy to see if I can't find him anymore. I swear to God, I'm telling you the truth. I said, what are you looking for him for? He said, well, he paid my rent for 6 months. If I'm lying, God can strike my children down. I love my babies. I don't swear on my kids. I promise you. My dad said this to me less than 6 months ago. And I said, well, why don't you just go back to the guy? He was like, I can't find him. And so I'm waiting for him to transfer my Section 8 because sometimes if you get Section 8, then you can't get housing. If you got housing, you can't get Section 8. I'm sitting there like, why are you still, you know, in my mind, I'm like, whatever. Okay, yeah, Pop, blah, 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 blah. I remember in that dream, my mother, she walked on Sutter Avenue in Brooklyn, and it was a small Jewish guy. He was in the window. It was the same Jewish guy. My mom had a couple of marriages, and she couldn't get out of it. He said, because, you didn't complete your other divorce. So it made her a bigamist. I'm not lying. I'm so sorry. If y'all get mad, then I don't give a shit. But the Jewish guy, he said, I'll do you a favor, man. He said, I'll design this a certain way and I'll get you out of it. And he looked at me and it was the same Jewish man with that little hat. And my mom said, okay. And she took the envelope and she mailed it. And this happened in real life. My mom went to him for a divorce. I remember as a child, he brought that memory out of my head as confirmation. that I needed to think about this dream. It was so messy and it's still going on forward. As I'm awake right now, I'm still reviewing the dream. I've never seen anything like that. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I don't even know if I should keep the bed that I'm laying on. I ain't dreaming no shit like that again. That was crazy. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I got some research that I'm gonna do here. I got some things I want to look up because there was so many things, and then that bell. It didn't dawn on me until like an hour later. That bell, I seen that bell on uh on stamps. I seen that bell um on the Liberty Bell or whatever. But I remember I don't know much about it, and I'm telling the God honest truth. And this is a sad thing. I never knew much about Juneteenth. I never knew nothing about the bell and how it got what that strike was. But as I told you, when he was drawing this stuff for me, he was drawing everything I did, and he drew the bell and he put a slit in it, a crack, so I can go inside. And it almost felt like an underground railroad. And again, I never seen anything like this before. I never seen anything like this before. And I just think back now to my court cases. I was labeled a kingpin when I came out of Queens. I couldn't get my passport. They were trying to put me in jail. They was locking us all up on Rikers Island. Every single one of us. All my friends were so stupid. We had no idea. We were just listening to Mobb Deep and fucking and drinking and smoking Lucy cigarettes and shit. They were 25 cents for a cigarette. And they all went to jail. Every single one of them, they went to jail. Every one of them, or they in the graveyard. But every time I would go to court, there would be some Jewish person with a cheap suit on, looking dingy, shit in their hair like they didn't wash their fucking hair, a little musty, but they knew the entire law book and they got me. I'm not kidding you. I'm being honest with you. They would have these strange glasses on and they got me out of trouble and they sealed my record. They did. I had a record. Just a bunch of misdemeanor shit, a bunch of this and that, and selling crack cocaine. And I remember being in jail in Rikers Island. I was in C-74, C-76, and you get to court, and I was given legal aids. So just so you know, I don't want to get into details, but I was in the judicial system from the time I was about 14 till I was about 18. From Spofford, I talked about this before, Rikers Island, and all this other stuff, and every single time, and I'm telling the truth. I remember the last time I was in South Jamaica, Queens. I had sold some crack on the same block that L got shot in his neck in the ghetto Quran. When they say, when he said that they shot him in his neck, fucking Dominicans turned around, they gave him more bricks. I was on that block. True story. And I sold 2 pieces of crack to a woman. I came back outside and I went to jail. They put me in a van. I went to jail. I sure did. And they had me, and I was going to jail. And I get to jail and I get to the law library because something told me to go to the law library. I go to the law library and I told the guy, I says, hey man, me being stupid and ignorant, I'm thinking about who's gonna fuck my bitch, if they're gonna find the crack that I left, are they gonna think I'm snitching? All of this stupid stuff is in my mind as an idiot. And and what makes me so emotional is my mom and dad had no idea what all of this shit was going on to me with me in my life. I'm sitting up here in the goddamn streets. So many young boys were. father off somewhere smoking crack. He was, and I don't care if he get upset about this. My apologies. This was my goddamn life, and I'm going to tell my story. I'm not going to let somebody else get upset about me telling my story. I'm not going to do that. This is my life. Just like if my son has a story, and in his story, somehow I'm never there for him. Somehow I'm, always off getting high and selling weed and fucking bitches, then that's his truth. I can't take that from him. That's how he styled me. And somebody said this before. In some people's story, you're a hero. In some people's story, you're the villain. That's how they're gonna see you. I'm sure some of my fiance or girlfriends or whatever, they saw me as amazing. The other ones saw me as a that's just how it's gonna work out. I'm gonna sum this up. I gotta go. I gotta think about this. So I I'm in the law library, and the guy, he's looking at my paperwork. This is a true story. He looked at me how that guy looked at me, the Jewish guy. He looked up at me just like he had his glasses on, and he looked at me, and he's reading my this really happened. That's why he kept looking at me, because the dream that I had has so many layers that he wants to pinpoint to things that happened to me in my life to prove to me and to show me what he was drawing and what the Jewish people were doing for black people all of this time. But he wanted to use me to make a statement. So you get it. That's why I chose you to get you out of Rikers Island. That's why when that guy looked up at you at Law Library, he said, "You didn't even read your paperwork, did you?" And I said, "No, I didn't." This is a true story. This happened on my life. When I was in Rikers Island, I went to Law Library. The guy said, "Read your paper, young man. You can read, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do me a favor. Don't you ever come back in here." He said, "There's some niggas that will kill your ass." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you ain't got shit and you in here." He said, "Read your paperwork." I looked. It said that I wore a green shirt or something to that nature, orange, and I did not. I had on a black shirt. It said that my hair was blonde. I had on white shoes. Who would write something like that? Swear to my life, on my children's life, my paperwork was so distorted that could not possibly be me. They was describing damn near a white man. I took my paperwork and I went back to my cell. I had court the following week, and I sat there and I thought about it in that cell, doing my little push-ups and everything. I didn't eat. I fasted. I get to court. This guy says, "I can do you a favor. We can get you a 1 to 3. And if I talk to the DA, we might be able to get you some time served." I said, "Okay." We go before the judge. They call my name. It's my turn. Everybody before me walked through that door in Kew Gardens and went to jail. Every single one of them. And after that time, just so you know, later on in life, I would come and sit down in the courtroom and I would watch like a conveyor belt every black guy go to jail like this. Promise you. No parents would show up for them, no mother, no father. I just watched it. I swear to God. That's what got me liking law. And I wanted to learn law because I could not believe how easy it was for every single young black man. No offense. So every time I hear black women talk about, "Oh, we're the most untreated," you have no idea. I didn't see black women going in and out the jail like that. I saw black men in real time. Anyway, so I get to the courtroom. The judge called my name. "William." Don't worry about the details. You'll understand later. I walk up. Just be quiet. I got this. And I'm looking around at all these people. I had this boldness, like Tupac. I'm looking around at the stenographer. I'm looking around at all the people. I'm trying to see if they throwing any signs, any Masonic shit. And I'm sitting there doing all this. I don't know what I'm doing. They looking at, what the hell is he doing? I'm telling you the truth. And he's like, Your Honor, my client wishes to plead guilty, and he's very sorry. We was wondering if we can get a youthful offender, and if we can get him another 4 months or something like that to time serve in C-76. Uh, and he's going to go back to school. We're going to see if we can contact his parents and everything else. And the judge is like, okay, is that what you wish to do? And he said, yes, sir, he does. And I said, excuse me, Your Honor. He goes, no, 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 no. It's okay. I said, Your Honor, excuse me. He assists and he looked. I said, Your Honor, I'm not guilty. I said, my lawyer is making a mistake. If you look at my paperwork, there's a technicality. I did not change my hair. They said I made a direct sell to a woman. I sold her 2 pieces of crack cocaine. Here was the weight. This is what it was made up of. It said I had on a green shirt. When I was arrested, the police report said I had on black. The judge is looking like this. And I said, Your Honor, I had never had blonde hair in my life. And the lawyer said, excuse me, Your Honor. He said, give me a second. He looked at my paperwork. They stopped it. They pulled me in the back. They stopped. They didn't want nobody else to hear the rest. They stopped my case. I swear to God, this happened in real life. Whatever happened in my dream last night is connected to me today. It's almost like they put a wire in me or whatever. I don't know what happened just in that dream. That dream is crazy. But when I went back to the cell with him, I was in Rikers Island, or was I in Central Bookings? No, we left Rikers Island and they drove me to Central Bookings and Kew Gardens. He looked at my paperwork. He said, Why didn't you say anything? And you know what I said to him? I said, Sir, you the lawyer. He said, I'm so sorry, sir. The paperwork they gave me was different. I don't know what happened. He goes, this is your name. This is you. He said, I don't understand. I don't get it. We go back, or he goes back out there. He told me to stay right here. You know what he came back with? I was dismissed. They gave me 2 tokens. They sent me back to Rikers Island. And I laid down. I put my clothes on. And I never forget. I think I was in Mod 2. I laid down with my clothes on. And they called my name. And I walked out. And I had nowhere to go, man. I walked back out of the block. And I told my friends, I was like, yo, man, some shit, this, that, and the third. I went and I got my crack, sold my shit, got me a blunt, and fuck that shit. I went right back and do what the fuck I was doing. I'm gonna be honest with you. So sorry. I gotta tell you the truth. That's how it went. Got me a motherfucking 40, okay? Got me some coochie and was like, F that. Shortly after, things happened that got me off the block and I left. And I never obtained any felonies. But I swam with the greats, some of the best rolling 60 Crips I've ever seen. I seen 50 before he even became 50 Cent. The Lost Boys before, was it Freaky Tide? Before he got shot in the face, I used to always go up on Gabrua. I used to go always hang out, Liberty, Merrick Boulevard, Paisley, 40s. I was all over the place. Sometimes I would venture into Brooklyn and the Bronx, but not very much until I got a little older. I started venturing into those places and eventually living in the Bronx. Another adventure. I got to write. I got to write. I got to write. In my latest book, I talk about some of this stuff, but I got to write like Bilbo Baggins. The things that I saw, I journeyed the same streets as Fat Cat Nichols. I'm in my 40s. I journeyed some of the same streets as Alpo. This is after they were gone, but I walked those streets as Pappy Mason. Those streets, and that's why I write what I wrote in my book. It's on Amazon. It's on Audible. Black Women Rings Around Saturn. It was a setup. They would take black women and they would put them in Section 8's housing areas, but they would have already designed these neighborhoods with drug dealers, crack houses, and they would put you in them so your children can get incarcerated. And my mom, she didn't know it at the time. She was just trying to make it and trying to get forward. And I've seen good people, young people, boys and girls get on crack. I've seen so many things in my little lifetime. And every time when I think that God is, because yesterday I was tripping out a little bit. I'm like, yo, I told a friend, I said, man, God is the devil, somebody's after me. Because why do I never get a break? But when I go back and look at my life, and maybe that's why God gave me that dream, I did get a break. I got more breaks than the law allows. And some of you may not understand, and you may think, hey, yeah, I bet you some Jewish guy told him to say that. A lot of times, Jewish people, if you go back and listen to my Spotify, you will know Jewish people ain't telling me to say this. I have given Jewish people shit a lot. And like everybody else who gets help from Jewish people, you get upset with them and you go, hey, why is the Jews doing this and that? So I've had my share and it's documented. That's what's beautiful about the work I've done already. So you can't say, oh, I'm just some Zionist. Um, but I have a new, different respect for Jewish people. I um I will never say anything bad about them again. And one thing I've learned is I don't know what I don't know. See, I don't know who Palestine people are, how they got there. I don't know how Jewish people got there. And one thing I do, Egyptian people or Muslims, one thing I can tell you is when I went to Egypt, I could not understand why there were black people and black faces all over the walls of Egypt and the Great Pyramids and any other ones. And I said, well, what happened to these people? And it was an old Arab man. He told me to open up my hand, and I did. And he placed a little black cat in my hand. I promise you. He said to me, he said, do you know you are from here? Or at least your ancestors. Black people used to walk these lands in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia, and in all of these places. And I did not understand what he meant deeply until I had that dream yesterday. And it explained to me how black people have been scattered, even in the Americas. A lot of those Native Americans that you saw, that they're always red and things like that, they're not showing the true depictions of a lot of those Native Americans. They were black. A lot of the people in Europe, they were black. And they were scattered and just sort of distributed, just how the Jews were scattered and kicked out of land to land to land. Now the pieces start to make sense. And I think one thing that he was showing me, because at the end of my dream, I felt a little older. I couldn't see myself. I don't know my age. But what it showed me is that as you get older, in your blood, in your mind, knowledge unlocked, and you begin to understand things that you saw in visions when you were younger or in circumstances in your life that you didn't understand. Well, why me? Why did I have to do this? Why? But there was a purpose for it, and there is an explanation for it, and it may be 3 years from now. You're not going to understand why did you go and sit in Kew Gardens and watch those court cases? Why is this happening in Palestine? Until you start to step back. Just like I didn't understand our slavery or our oppression. I don't get it. Don't make any sense. What the hell is God doing? Can't you stop this shit? You got nothing better to do? See, you don't understand until time goes by. It becomes revealed because at that time, your brain can't handle it. I was talking to a woman over the phone a week ago and I called. I just couldn't take it no more. It was for a job that I really, really wanted. And I said to her, I said, I've traveled the world, ma'am. I said, I've done so many things and I'm trying to settle down right now. And I just can't understand why I'm not getting the opportunity that I want right now. You know what she said to me? She said, and it's the same thing that was in that dream. She said, well, I'm going to tell you something, young man. She's the human resource lady. She said, I wanted some things a couple years back. She said, you know what? I wasn't ready for them. He said, things happen to you when you're ready for them. This conversation happened last week. And everything that's happening in my mind and in my life from the 90s to the 80s is like a twirl of stars. And I'm beginning to see how the constellations of situations in my life are lining up and why they are that way and why they're taking time to reveal themselves to me. It's amazing, ladies and gentlemen. It's amazing because years ago, I was not ready to understand. Years ago, and when you look at what you see today, why the hell is Trump there? And why is the Jewish people and Benjamin Netanyahu and poor this one and that one? Have y'all known anything about Persia or the old Persia? No, of course you don't. All we know is what we see in Iran and what's going on and how they got in that land. Do you know anything of ancient Turkey or the ancient Ottomans? No. Do you know anything of Muammar Gaddafi? Muammar Gaddafi met with the minister Louis Farrakhan and he said he apologized and he's going to abolish slavery. I said, slavery? Now, I was in the Middle East about 5, 6 years ago and I was in Africa. And my friend said, no offense, I don't want to be Muslim. I said, why you say that? She said, what do you know about Islam? I said, what you mean? She said, I know good black Muslims, Malcolm X. She said, did you know that there's slavery going on today in Libya and in Morocco and in Saudi Arabia? I said, you lying. And in Palestine, I said, you fucking lying. She wasn't lying. To this day, 2026, and in Pakistan. Did you know the drugs that the CIA or whoever did it brought into the black community? Did you know they came out of Afghanistan and Pakistan? Google it. I had no idea. I thought all of it came out of Colombia or out of Cuba. When you think you know, you don't know. I had no idea who Saladin was and how he crusaded all across Africa and random African peoples out their land and how they created Palestine. How did they get Morocco? How did they get Algeria? How did they get Egypt? I had no idea. Because those are old African lands, old Moorish lands. And again, I just never took the time to stop and think about it. And now, what are the Jews doing? Are they creating a greater Israel? Or are they taking back your land? In the Middle East, Israel went to war with every single one of them neighbors around there. And did you know that all of those lands that they going to war with, there used to be Africans there? I'm not the one that try to convince you anything. This is a damn shame. If you think I'm gonna sit up here and not do my research, I've been to the East. I went to go see it. I walked Egypt. I walked Ethiopia. I sat down in the villages and I talked to people and asked questions. Your ass is in the States. You ain't been nowhere. You just talking about Carissa Shields and the latest stupid tree and Jay-Z, P. Diddy shit. I'm different. I don't know why God put this journalist spirit in me to go ask questions that shit the average nigga ain't going. I don't need the answer to that. But when you stand in solidarity with the Palestinians and the Egyptians and this one, do you even know who these people are? Do you know how they got there? No. Do you know who Muammar Gaddafi is? And do you know why there is slavery in Libya today? Ethiopia and the coalitions of the Black Council of Africans sent a delegation to Libya to end slavery now. This happened about 5, 10 years ago. And I didn't understand. I said, what the hell are they talking about? First thing I thought that, they were slaving other Arabs. And then I started seeing videos of them slaving Ethiopian girls, Sudanese girls, Nigerian girls. I said, oh shit. What the hell is going on? Muammar Gaddafi apologized. In the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they were doing slavery. In the name of Allah. No offense. And I'm not saying Liberia, Libya. Um, I'm looking at this right now, and I'm not going to play y'all any videos of it. You can just see it, the slavery all throughout the Arab states. I would have never known that the sub-Saharan slave trade if I did not do the research. And again, the way it was packaged, no offense, by the Nation of Islam, and I'm not trying to hog on them. They made it seem like it was the Jewish people who orchestrated the entire slave deal, and the Jewish people was in slavery their goddamn selves. They were dealing with shit. The Ottomans was running the town at the time. Okay, the Shah and them niggas. Okay, I did not know that. And part of my dream, I will not tell you. Part of it, I was told to keep it to myself, and I will. I will go to my grave. I'm not going to tell that, not even to my wife, but keep it to myself. But it was the Ottomans, the Persians. See, in the movie with the 300, they don't show you Iranians, do you? They show you Cyrus and all of them. They were black. And I said, wait a minute. What the hell is they doing black? And they go on to fight against the Greeks. But today, them same Persians, they look Arab. This don't make no damn sense. Oh, it makes all the sense in the world. Your ass just ain't did no research. You don't know what the hell's going on. See, because the Persians were black, but not the Iranians. The Kemetic people in Egypt were black, but not the Arabs. The Moors in Morocco was black, but not the Moroccans. The people in Libya were black, but not Muammar Gaddafi. The people in Algeria were black, but not the Algerians. The people who used to be in what you call Palestinian were black or Cushites, not the Palestinians. What am I not getting? I saw it in my dream vividly, researched it, or recalled it, sitting right there. This is a fact. I'm going to take a break, ladies and gentlemen, for doing lives for a little bit. I'm going to step away for a second. I'm not going to do any for a little bit. That was the heaviest dream I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know that I was ready for that dream. That was the heaviest dream of my life. That was the heaviest dream of my life. And the way it tied everything into my life, I have almost like I have anxieties at this point. What was strange about that dream as well, there's supposedly an eclipse coming up in August. This eclipse is supposed to be something. I don't know if it is or not. They always got something to say, oh, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. But I said to myself, good Lord. And I'm putting these things together, along with what I saw in the sky when I was in the Middle East, and along with the dreams that I've had over the years, God has been putting a puzzle together for me. And what is scary about God is I don't know if there's a such a thing now because of that dream of a past or a future or I'm in the present. I don't know if I astral project. I don't know what the hell just happened. It's almost like I can't describe it. It's almost like a 360 dream. I can't explain it. It was like the past and the present is one, and I'm just here right now. I and when you listen to the story of the children of Israel, like the United States of America, all of that in my dream had a different meaning. And the Jews in my dream were directed by God, again, not because they were melanated, stupid, not because they had hair of wool and skin of bronze. That had nothing to do with it. They were created for a purpose. That's why they are the chosen people by God, because He chose them to do something for you. See, nobody explained it that way. But when He was drawing the pictures and He used me to give them the tools, and He kept looking up at me, you can see the wisdom, the control, the steady handedness, the the architecture, all right there on this little piece of paper. The map was flat. That's why I said it's going to take me time to go back and dissect every. You see how people slow videos down and they're looking at his hand and this and that and that. I'm going to slow my dream down from what I can recall back to myself. And, you know, um, wow. He used me, and he walked me through where the black people were first to show me their condition and to show me that whoever are the writers of what slavery was, they did it for their own gain and they did it for political purposes. The Chicken Georges and the Shackles, who made those movies? Because the slavery I saw, it wasn't nice, but it was nothing like that at all. Black people were respectful, they were healthy, they were taking care of each other, they were eating, they were planting, they had animals, they were making things, they were inventors. Everybody seemed like they knew what they were doing. They were making brooms. Seriously, they were making dustpans. And again, you're like, well, how did you have all of this dream? It's like as I was walking through everything I saw over here and over here, I recorded it, but I was still focused on walking towards Him at some point. Then I walked through where the white people were. I can see the mice, the dust, the flies. I saw everything: the wine, the glass, the rim, the ladies, the umbrellas, the crease in their pants. I could see their shoe. I saw everything when I slow it down. But I was walking, and then when I walked to that door where the Jews were, and they were dirty, musty, like they were in a cave or locked in something, or they were building something. I got to go back and analyze it. All you can see is like dirt and oil on them, and like almost like they were in a can of sardines. I'm just got to tell you how I see it. I mean, some of these terms mean, oh, that's derogatory, that's mean. No, I'm just telling you what I saw. Damn it. Okay, I need a break. I'm gonna end this live. And when they pushed me away, and when I came back with all of the things I brought them, they fixed the place. They were like almost dwarfs or something, like Snow White. It was strange. And when you walked in there this time, everything was chiseled. It was organized. There was like fire up there, tables, ink, writing shit. And they're just kind of doing stuff. I don't know what the hell they were doing, but they were working on a lot of stuff. And I don't know what kind of tools they had, but whatever they had, they were able to like carve their way through life. They had tools. I just can't see them. I don't know what they were, but when I got to the guy or to the man or to the architect and I looked down at the paper, he let me see it. And I again, he's using this paper, this pen that can create. And again, there's so many dimensions to what I saw. It just really, really changed the way I see things permanently now. Just like when I went to Africa, something happened to me, and the presence of God walked up on me when I was in Ethiopia, and I fell to the ground. I fell in the mud, and I stayed there. I was paralyzed, and I didn't move. And then my name changed. I wasn't. My name was not always what it is now. It's changed legally. All my documents, my name changed. And then he even kind of showed me why that happened to me. Why did your name change? And why was I born in Beth Israel, Mount Sinai, in a Jewish hospital? It just all. None of my other siblings were born in that Jewish hospital. They were born in Jamaica, Queens, Brookdale, or Jamaica Hospital, Brookdale. But I was born in Mount Sinai, Beth Israel Hospital. Never seen anything like it. When you have an experience like that, people can go, hey, well, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't want to hear any of that at this time. What a dream. Hey, that's just a dream. Don't you worry about it. Before I left, the guy who kept looking up at me made sure that I knew this will never just be a dream to you, because the things that are happening to you currently that the lady just spoke of in this ancient dream that you're dreaming, I'm going to tie them in so you know that this dream have something significant. And so when he kept looking up at me and drawing things, it's like every time I looked at him, I'm like, okay, I see it. Now, what are you doing now? Okay, I see. Again, I didn't know why white people were walking up that ladder. Why every time when the eclipse came, it created like an eyeball with like white around, red around, like an irritated eye in the sky, and then the black people kept scattering and going here and there, and then once it was over, it would come back, and the eclipse just kept coming back like every night, and they would scatter every night, and they would come back every night, and it was just like four different times basically, I guess. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I didn't bore you. Um, Maybe I put the thumbnail wrong because it shouldn't be Republicans in the thumbnail. I'll fix it. But I don't know what happened in my dream. But I just had to share that with you, and I hope I didn't bore you. Thank you, my brother. I believe you have something that is going to happen in the coming months. This is why I did not want to have that dream. I know you're right. And I know something is coming, and I don't want to know. Sometimes we say we want a blessing from God. We want God to look at us. We want God. When you feel God, oh, never mind, never mind. And that's what I believe happened with the children of Israel in the Bible. They wanted, yeah, we want to speak to God. And God came over that mountain and they heard that thunder, they told Moses, never mind, we rather deal with you. We don't want to deal with him. That's how I feel right now. Like, I don't want to go back to sleep now. I feel like Freddy Krueger's in my dream. Dude, I'm going to sleep with the light on. I don't want to go to sleep again. I've never felt that in my life. Maybe as a kid, I don't want to go to sleep again. I don't want to go to sleep again. I'm serious, yo. Damn, bro. That scared the hell out of me, man. I woke up and I cut all the lights on, even in the closet. Oh, everything in the bathroom. I cut every single goddamn light on. I'm sitting there like this. And it was no monsters, no demon. It was just a spiritual experience. And maybe of God. I don't know. But it's like, yo, if that's what God feels like, I'm good. Now I see why demons don't want to deal with God. He had nothing, there was nothing frightened about the man that was sitting there and drawing. He had a smirk, almost looked like he can give you some cookies or some cake. He would look very like a grandpa. But his eyes were so old and so powerful and so filled with definition and majesty that you knew, whoa. It was just incredible, my man. I mean, godly, in 40 something years of my life, I've never had a dream like that, ever. And then the last scary dream I had, Shaka Khan was playing. And in this dream, Shaka Khan was playing again. I'm sitting up in here like this here. What? Anyway, let me read a few comments and we're going to get the hell out of here. I would like to have a dream like that. No, you don't. You think you do. No, you don't. No, you don't, sis. Trust me. Unless you are more brave than I am, I would not have. If I can go back to sleep and finish that dream, no way am I going to do that dream. Hell no. It was frightening. It was so vivid. I could feel the weather. I could hear the sound of the fire. I could hear the pencil. I hear everything is so vivid. I didn't know if I was astral projected, if I didn't know what had happened. And then the fact that I tried to quickly wake up before the dream even started, and then my body got frozen. It froze. And I always had that as a child. Sometime when I sleep, my grandmother used to say, "Oh, there's monkey on your back, there's witches, and all this other kind of stuff." I don't know about all of that, but I tried to quickly let it not, because I knew when I laid in that bed, I knew something was about to fall over me. I knew it. I felt it. And I was trying to quickly get up and just probably run out the room and just relax for a minute, or just stay up and not go to sleep until the daylight come on. But I could not get up. It would not let me. You did great. Thank you. It's coming. People, get ready for this. You ain't lying. Seriously. That was the craziest experience of my life. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't bore y'all or give y'all crazy vibes. I'm not crazy, you know. Um, yeah, we'll see y'all later.